Hi, this is Andrew. I'm going to give you my tutorial on how to do the 360-degree video editing. We're going to use a few pieces of software that are going to be included in this description. There will be a Word document that will be shared with you that describes every step, every click that you'll need to do to help with doing this video editing. This can be somewhat time intensive and mostly computer intensive as far as once most of the busy work is done, the computer will just have to do its rendering or its working with the video card, and that might take anywhere from a couple minutes to a couple hours. And at that point, you can just leave the computer alone, let it do its thing, and you'll get your product, and then you can keep manipulating it, editing it, working with it after that. So here's the description. Again, this Word document will be included in some fashion, describing what the step-by-step functions will be. Using Dropbox, we'll be sharing a link with you to offer the shared folder that has the relevant directory, the folder that you're going to be editing. That has the files in it, the video files specifically, as I said, as well as this how-to and instructions project. So in this Word document, you'll see that there's a link to Dropbox. From here, you can create an account. It does not have to be a special account. There are free accounts that have, I think, 2 gigabytes included. Doesn't really matter. You'll have a shared permissions to use the shared folder, and you can add bigger files than 2 gigabytes because our account has that capacity. So first thing, once you create a Dropbox account, create a login, and then look for, once you have that login, share that with me. I'll be sharing with you the shared folder. You'll look for the shared folders, and so once you go to Dropbox.com, you log in. Once I send over that shared link, all you have to do is, once you're in the home screen up here, you can click shared, and then the most recent project will be included there. So you'll just click that project. In this case, it's called House Acorn Halloween, and I just described it briefly. I won't always. It has the how-to. It has 3 files below that. You'll need to have at least 25 gigabytes of space on your hard drive because these files can be relatively big. You'll be exporting files sometimes as big as 10 gigabytes. Feel free to scan all of these, of course. This is a weird day and age, and we don't know what Dropbox is up to or what happens in between you and I. But feel free to scan, of course, with your Windows Defender, or if you have an Apple software, AVG, or some sort of Norton antivirus, something like that, feel free to click it and scan it. Basically, now that you have the folder added, you'll need to download the files. So you'll probably need the how-to certainly at the beginning. So you can click this box right next to the big folder, excuse me. You'll click this top one. I don't need this final edit folder. This is redundant and doesn't need to be in there. But so you'll highlight up here. You'll have all of the files you'll need selected, and you can click download. And when you do that, you're going to get a relatively big file. As I said, it'll be 1 gigabyte. It just takes a few minutes to download if it's that small. And once it's downloaded, you'll get, I've actually already downloaded this, so I'll show you what my cheat sheet is, but I downloaded it to the desktop. You'll unzip it using your Windows Unzip, or Apple has a version of it, I'm sure. You'll right-click, you'll click Unzip, and you'll have this folder. Inside the folder has just the files that you downloaded from Dropbox. It has an instructions sheet. It has the 3 videos. Told you I don't need this final edit yet. And there are 3 files here. You can see that these are going to be, I'm going to give you the details on what these are. So basically there are 3 files here that you're going to try and edit. You're going to edit. There will be descriptions, as I said, to do that. To open these proprietary file formats, this was recorded on an Insta360 camera. And so in order to open these files appropriately, you actually have to have downloaded the Insta360 app, for which there's an app on my taskbar down here. I've included the link in the description just to download it from their website. It's open for PC and Mac. And basically there are three files here. There's two types of files. One of them is called an LRV, which is basically a locator file to help orient the two cameras. When we record in 360 degrees, there are two 180 degree cameras. Each of them has a video file, and the LRV helps link them together. So you have to basically appreciate that they're the same name for the most part. These underscores are important, and so if you try and change the file name at this point, it will make it very difficult to open it up. So first thing, once you have the files downloaded and you have the Insta360 software app, which I'll open up for you now, and you'll see what that looks like. It will often have a reminder when there are software updates. You can update it later. You click the three files, all three, and you click and drag them into this footage bar. You'll see that there's a video that's kind of a fisheye lens view. You can use the mouse scroll wheel to go in, and you can use the mouse scroll wheel to go out, zoom out. This is helpful because you'll want to look around sometimes in the video to see some of what's going on in the video, and it might give you some idea on how it will be edited down the road. So here you can actually side to side, you can look all around, you can actually zoom in and see that there's a skeleton in this video. There are some Halloween decorations. Obviously you can see the car there, and the tree, it's hard to miss. But you can zoom all around if you like, just to appreciate what the video is. The audio is already captured on the video. I'll say a couple things about this Insta360 Studio is that it's annoying to work with sometimes. There's a view click up here, and then there's a free capture up here. Free capture I find unhelpful in that there's a bug on the software that you cannot export it appropriately, so you basically won't click this, you'll only click view. So stay in the view mode, which is the default, and you can look all around, as I said. So from here, I included in the instructions, which I'll read. You'll have a couple options to do some cropping, cutting side to side, so you'll be able to look at the beginning of the video at where the sidebar is, so you can start the video here, and if you click play over here, it will actually start it at the beginning. So even if you click in this gray, or sorry, this darker area, click play, it will only start the beginning of where you've cut it so far. So you can pull in the boundaries. I'll give you instructions on when to do that. Otherwise, at some point might have the discretion to certainly do it on your own. But if you edit this file, for which it's only going to be 30 seconds or so, because we're starting at 7 seconds, and the video is up to 1 minute and 32 seconds, but I've cut it to about 27 seconds, so this will be about 20 seconds of video that we're going to capture. In general, you can plan to export the whole file and then edit it after that. That's probably the easiest, though that will take longer for your computer to render, as I said before. But you can look up at the time marker if there's an instruction manual, if there are instructions for this specific video. Hey, I'm going to make a final video, working with 30-second clips from these three files together. I'll be giving specific instructions on what to do for that. But in general, you can export the entire file by keeping these boundary markers where they are. And from here, you can actually click export, which is this yellow button up here. Do you want to save your changes? Sure. Anytime you change the boundary, you'll have to click save. The resolution is actually going to change. It's going to be 5120, and when you type in that, it changes the width resolution. The bit rate you can actually change to 50, and you can actually go up and down on your keyboard, so you don't have to worry about stressing over clicking and dragging perfectly. The encoding format is an H.264, which we'll keep as a default. The export type, keep it the same. File name, we're going to type export Halloween. And then this I'm going to lead on the desktop just so it'll be easier for us to track. And then you can click export. You can click OK and it will start its exporting. And from here, this might take a few minutes, and so we'll resume in just a minute. Okay, so we've got a nice jingle that happens when we are able to export our video file. And so it says done here in the status. And I remember I saved it to the desktop. You can save it whichever folder you like. And so at this step, I urge you strongly to click this link on your native media player so that you can make sure that it actually works. Because if you go through this process and think it's all great and move to the next one where you're trying to do the editing and the file is not imported correctly, and basically there's another step that's a little bit time intensive to import, it will be so frustrating. So I implore you to open it up on your native player, and you can see that you can look around, up, down, left, and right. You confirm that you were able to edit it correctly. And in this video, this is a post-Halloween footage where you've got all sorts of things to talk about. But one remembrance is that the video is a little bit zoomed in from what you saw when you clicked view. And so when someone's wearing a headset or watching this video later, just keep that in mind, that that's just one thing that happens from the video. So don't think that that's an abnormal part of it. It just normally can look a little zoomed in. All right. So we're able to have it, we've exported this into a usable MP4 format, which is great, but the way the video starts is sometimes not ideal. We don't always want it to either face this way. We might want it to face this way, or we might want it to face this car for some reason. We might want it to face me, this other house. So the hard part with 360 video editing is that you have to actually change the initial configuration, which is something that there are editors to do, and I will show you how to do that. Again, this Insta360 Studio software is free, comes as a free download. There is another file that you will download, piece of software I should say, that's on this Word document, and you'll search for it, and you'll click the link that I've included there, and I included the download link right from their website, right from Garmin, who makes a 360 camera. You click download, you do your install, and okay, it's already invisible, and you do your install, and the editor looks like this red thing, which is this icon I put on my taskbar. They might leave it on your desktop after it's installed, but you'll click this video editor. It says Verb, V-I-R-B, and we'll start a new video by clicking Create, which is up here. What do you want to call it? You could call it the same thing you called it last, or you can call it what the name of the folder is that you are sharing with me. House Acorn Halloween, sure. Press Create. The time-intensive steps of this process are, now you'll import clip, and so you'll go to Import Other, and you'll go in and click the file that you made, the Export Halloween that we just made sure it worked by opening it up in our native player. Click Open. You'll click Import Only. Again, these are all detailed on the Word document. And now you're waiting for it to quote-unquote optimize. This is basically creating a proxy so that while you're editing the file, you can actually scan it and look around and just make sure you're clipping it the right way. The files are so big, as you saw, that if you're trying to scan it without compressing it somehow in resolution for the video editing, that you'll never be able to do it. It'll make it too choppy and impossible. So while this is taking its time to edit, we'll take a quick break and come back. Okay, so the video has been optimized according to the VIRB media player or editor. You'll click OK now that it's imported. And remember, you called this project up here at the top, House Acorn Halloween in this case. You imported a file, which is up here. It says last import. And so at this point, you can click it, drag it down to the bottom. Again, this says drag and drop clips here to add them to your video. So this is a project, so we'll add this little clip. There are many times that you'll create a product or a post-production video that has multiple files in it. in which case you can click import clips individually and get one file at a time, or you can click import and then select a whole breadth of those files, and then you can edit them all together. So this is just a very simple introduction, so we won't be doing that today, but you could import this twice. And so say you had another video, for instance. So a couple things about this video editor. One, for some reason I am not able to easily check out how many seconds you are through a video. As you scroll through this really small thumbnail, you'll see over here in this timestamp that it goes very fast in a 1 millimeter span. It'll fly through a 1 minute 30-second video, as you see. So as you see though, as this video starts over here, the car is actually the car and I are the center of the video for some reason, which our focus of the video, which will be included in some form of instruction to you, is not me, but the Halloween decorations in this case, or a nature scene or something like that. So we want to orient the video to reflect this. How do we do that? So a couple broad comments too. These little boxes are transitions. So if you're going between locations or going between scenes, you'll need a transition. You can just use crossfade, which is the most popular. You can keep this at 1 second, and you can apply it to all if you want. I think the beginning having a crossfade option or a fade in option, and the fade out for the export for the last step, I think are the most helpful. If you're doing multiple clips of the same video, then you certainly won't need a transition in the middle. It will be kind of confusing. A part that you'll need to do with this editing is a few things. One, as I included kind of your goals, is that you'll have to cut the video or crop it as necessary from here. So as I put in my message, remove the hand near the camera. So a lot of times when the clip is being completed, my hand is right next to it. And so all you have to do right here is right click. You'll click split, because you'll go somewhere towards the end. And in that split, you'll be able to have actually much more manageable 5-10 second thumbnail that you can actually stop it in time so it looks less weird. And so from here you'll actually split it again, because you can see in this video that I'm not in it, which is important. And so you can split it from here, right click, click split again, and this is just a video of me grabbing the camera. So here you can actually just right click, remove from video, and it's gone. But this, just look right now though that first file that you made is now in 2 different split pieces. The camera is oriented differently though.
Halloween.
So if you click play as to kind of see what you're watching, the camera is going to reorient slightly. It will if it's 2 different clips, certainly. What's important though, just to recognize, is that you don't need a transition here because they're the same video that's continuous in this case. So we talked about how we need to make sure that there is orientation of the camera the way we want it, which is the hardest part of 360 video editing. So click stabilization to do that. So you'll click the first thumbnail. This will involve this entire box right here. You'll click stabilization, set initial orientation. As you see, the orientation is towards me instead of somewhere else. And so we want the orientation in this case, or something that will be in the instructions, to be of this house. You'll aim it towards the center, make the house the star, click save. And so now when that part is recording, or sorry, when that part is playing, then you'll see that it starts out with the house as the foreground. And if you go towards the end of this little thumbnail and you click play, you'll see that I'm here on the right side of the screen.
There's a lot of
but as soon as you go through the split, it has you rear facing all of a sudden. Let's do that again. So see how we're facing the house and the tree, and over the next few seconds you'll see, blip, see, now we're facing the car and the rear part. So the same image the same thumbnail box has to again be stabilized and the initial orientation set again. So you can restabilize it center, click save. Now you're good to go. So the transition should be pretty streamlined into the same direction the whole way. And you'll see it go through this little split. There was a little stutter there, which isn't a big deal if it's very subtle, if you do your best to orient it the same way. And then now it restarts because this thumbnail at the bottom that we added second, this third thumbnail, has it facing as the default backwards. So you could keep this there, you could add the second file to make a bigger compilation. You can edit this however you want or however is instructed, stabilize it. You can take this transition out because we don't need it in the middle of the video for any reason. This is a fade out at the end. So here, we're gonna not need this because it's redundant for this example, but if you had another clip, you can do the same thing to make sure the hand is out of the picture so the video seems like it's a little bit more usable. And then have your fade out at the end for your transition. And then we don't need one in the middle. Perfect. And then here you'll click export, which is up here. And here's your options. So you'll be able to make this, keep this as a 360-degree video edit. Keep the resolution at 5K. If you remember, we set it at 5120. The frame rate will stay at 30. That's the default. The target will be max. And then you can drop this wherever you like. We'll again kind of leave it in the desktop just so you see where that is. And then you click export, which is down here. So you can change your location for the export and click export. So this is going to require a little bit of your computer working with its video card to export it. This can take anywhere from minutes to a couple hours depending on the kind of computer you have. And the result will be a 360 video edit file, which will be an MP4. It will be in the 264 H.264 file format. And that's the file that you'll have as your basically your final product. I'll review my notes here. So we talked about all of the benefits of using these two softwares. The first one allows you to turn that proprietary file format into a usable MP4, which is recognized by the verb edit. It can be in the H.264 file format as a default. At some point it will change to the H.265, but for now we'll just keep this at the H.264 as we discussed so far. And now your video is going to be exported here in just a minute, and we'll resume what to do after that. Okay, so it says that the video has been exported, and so we know that our computer's done what it's been asked to do. We can click done. You don't need to do any more editing at this point, which is the good news. You can then appreciate that the file is now exported. It's going to be called the same thing, remember, as whatever your project is titled, so House Acorn Halloween. You can click it down here to make sure that it works. And here you'll see that its default now is the house, which is great, which is what we wanted. We can click through the file. I think we put in a little blip in here somewhere. When we reoriented the video after splitting it.
Over there that got pushed away because it was so windy last night. They got a lot of things.
Yeah, very subtle. So, and also if you click to the end, you'll see that transitions out or fades out, and that's exactly what we set it to do. Alright, great. So the file is now completed, so you can go to the Dropbox folder that you're shared with, and it's started in the House Acorn Halloween project. You can open the final edit folder and the folder is empty. You know you have the editing privileges there, so you can actually click and drag this file into this folder and it will upload. It will take a while because if you know about uploading versus downloading, uploading can take a very long time. So this is something that you'll have to leave potentially overnight to be uploaded into Dropbox. But again, this will be on that shared folder, and then just leave your computer, let it do its thing, and then come back later and appreciate that it's there. Once it's been uploaded, all you have to do is notify me that it's done, and we'll talk about the next projects or what to do after that.